Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. I'm Nick McDaniel. He's Myron Fancher. How the heck are you, buddy?
I'm great. Fresh in my chair, ready to spend another episode. How many episodes is it now?
That's the big news, man. Like, before we get started, this is one. So here's the. All right, I got to throw some disclaimers in here. This is the 1,000th episode to air on the Tapped Out Podcast Network. Now, the full disclosure part here is in the early days, there were other podcasts. And I want to take a second because, it's been a long time. But, the Gorilla Press, the Wrestling Dorks, Nathan, Littman, who still a listener of the show, I believe. He was an early person in here. Eric Stanton, way back in the day, when we really first started, we were audio only. Most of the guys were audio only, obviously. Of course, Lewis Carlin.
Screw you, Lewis.
He partnered in. I mean, like, we've had some people over the time, that have plugged in. So I was really wanting to be super specific. I wasn't trying to say thankful. I want to be thankful to the guys that that have helped along the way and contributed along the way. But I mean, it's also, I wanted to be clear, like, there has not been 1,000 episodes of the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. That is not what we're saying. But there's been 1,000 episodes to air on the network. And I honestly believe I have them all somewhere.
I have some of them on my computer that the stuff I did by myself is on this computer somewhere. I found oddball, I interviewed that person back in the day. I had some star wrestling interviews back in the day. Bobby Matthews did our two most important interviews with Bob Armstrong and Ron Fuller. It was just it's so much knowledge that I've picked up over the years doing this. And I really thank everyone who's been a part. I think anybody that's listened, click like and share. That also helps too. But subscribe. But I really appreciate you people. Thank you for all the wrestling shows you've seen me at.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, here's the thing. We talk about it all the time, and look, I'm not really sure, but maybe it's time I break off some audio only blast from the past, put them on the Patreon page. Look, I'm not gonna charge for them or anything like that. They'll be free, because, like, literally, Myron, patreon.com/tappedoutpod. By the way, I'm not gonna go through the spiel on this end because I want to get into. It was audio only. We want a full disclosure and tell people I didn't think we were that good.
We weren't that good.
I'm not saying we are now. I'm just saying, like, we were worse back then. We were too stupid to quit, and we plugged away. And so, look, 1,000 episodes in, lots of stories, lots of news, lots of shows over the last,
lots of equipment.
Equipment and learning and self-teaching and all those kind of things. So yeah, I mean, I guess, I do want to kind of just bluntly say to anybody who's ever downloaded an episode, streamed an episode, watched an episode on YouTube, it doesn't matter how you consume the product. Thanks. We appreciate it. I mean, but yeah, it's been, and here's the crazy thing is we're 1,000 episodes and we're 2 months to the 9-year anniversary of the podcast.
Wow.
So it's a couple of milestones here, like, pretty close together. And the big question is 14 months from now, we hit 10 years, what happens?
I've heard your ideas. I need to finally make sure my heart is strong again.
We will see. That's 14 months in the making, so we'll see if that actually I don't know if I'm that crazy or not. So,
but I'll tell you what, folks, you see me in an indie show, come up and say hello. I'll give you a hot dog and a handshake. How about that?
Absolutely.
Show me that you subscribe to the podcast. Get a hot dog and a handshake.
Look, that's enough about us today. We appreciate, like I said, everybody who's any form or fashion, whether you've bought a shirt, you're a Patreon member, we appreciate it all. But let's dive into the news of the week, because there's a couple of questions we got this week. A couple people, I guess, saw the post late, and they sent some questions after the fact. So I said, hey, if we get a chance, we'll get to them this week. But All right, couple big news topics, Myron. The big one, I don't know if I call it the big one or not. There's two that I think are right there neck and neck. Bill Goldberg returns on Raw.
Yeah. No one's spared. Everyone's speared. The poster looks great. Okay, I'm looking right now at the Saturday night's main event for Atlanta poster. Goldberg looks great in the poster.
Here's the thing. We're going to go through, hey, folks, this is one of those things where I always tell you, make sure you listen to the end. Don't stop in the middle because it'll become clickbait thought if you think you hear what you thought you heard. Goldberg looked old on Raw.
I hate to say it. Yeah. He looked like Goldberg the same way Bret Hart looks like Bret Hart. I hate to use those two in the same sentence, but
he looks in great shape. Let's preface there. I don't want to be like a whole thing. But he looked old, but he looked like he was old and in great shape. I think the issue that people are complaining about online, a little limp here. He looked a little winded, by the time he got to the ring. Here's the problem. There's another problem, by the way. He always came in jacked and huge, and he looked bigger than everybody else.
Yeah.
He does not standing next to Gunther.
No. And Gunther's not the super muscle guy either. Gunther's just really tall. He's a wrestler, like a traditional wrestler. Why Gunther? Why Gunther? Is this a title match? It can't be a title match.
It is.
Okay, so this is, Goldberg's not going to win.
Why?
But it's in Atlanta.
We said that when he wrestled Brock, and he did. Listen. Let's get through, I think here's for all the people that complained and everybody that was just like, oh, he looks old. Here's the part where I said, if you've cut off by now, okay, you've missed, because you're going to go out there and go like Nick said he looked old. He was gassed. Nick said he was limping around. By the way, those things did happen, but
that's me walking across the room.
He still got some time.
Yeah.
The adrenaline could have been gassed because he's had such an adrenaline rush. He crashed.
Very intense person coming down to the ring.
Absolutely.
He made his career on being super intense. So
I got a feeling we're going to see him a couple more times before Saturday Night Main Event. Here's my thing though. All these people that are complaining and all these people that are saying complaining about it. If they sell a ton of tickets to Saturday Night Main Event in Atlanta, which expensive tickets, will it matter? Yeah. Because he has said in interviews, this is probably he has basically put it out there. This is essentially his retirement match. He just wanted his retirement match to be on basically home field, like here in Atlanta.
It's great. It's great for him. Bring him to Atlanta. He went to UGA. Do his big match, have it work out great, or at least look good, and put your boots in the ring. I don't think everybody's expecting him to go out there and wrestle a great match. Gunther's probably going to have to carry him a lot.
That's the whole point. When you ask why Gunther, there's your answer. It's because Gunther's going to be tasked with helping Bill Goldberg put on a match. Now, look, I don't know how long we're getting. Bill Goldberg was never a guy who was going to give you a 15-minute match anyway. Typically, he's not going to, his things go out there and be short and to the point.
Yeah.
I think here's what this match needs to be, in my opinion. Let me back up. I just sounded like one of those yahoos. This is what they need to do. If it were me, this is what I would do. Goldberg goes out. He plays the hits. Spear, jackhammer, boot, whatever. Gunther kicks out, and Gunther comes back, and Gunther picks up the win. It's really that simple. Because he gets to have his retirement thing. I mean, because you brought it up. He went to college here. He played his pro ball here. He wrestled for the company that was based out of here. That's what made him the megastar that he was at the time. It's nostalgia, folks. Play the hits. Let's boom, ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we still go, Gunther's legacy now picks up. He's the man who put Goldberg down for the last time. And as a heel, how much milk did Brock Lesnar get out of I'm the one in 21-1 to the, with the streak of the Undertaker at WrestleMania?
Yeah.
Can you imagine Gunther getting to be able to walk around saying, I'm the one who put down Goldberg over and over and over? By the way, all Gunther does is win championships and have long title reigns.
Yeah. Yeah. Super skilled. Someone they've been really lucky to get. But Bill is going to sell a hell of a lot more tickets. I haven't looked at the ticket sales for this show yet, but it's going to be packed out to the rafters. And nothing else. This is what's going to do it. Give Bill a chance. Give Bill a chance. I mean, it might be entertaining or not. But
listen,
he's Goldberg.
I think here's the thing, though. I think the problem at hand is you need to know what you're getting. And I say this about a lot of wrestling fans. The problem typically when people are not always, when people are disappointed, like, hey, man, they thought this was going to be better. I'm always kind of like, okay, isn't that on you that you expected more out of it than what you got? It wasn't like it's a horrible match. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think that's ultimately what we end up in the hassle we do to ourselves.
Just enjoy it for what it is.
Speaking of enjoying for what it is, man, listen, we've had a couple back-to-back CM Punk facing off with John Cena promos in the ring, and there's a lot of praise for CM Punk's, promos over the last week or so with John Cena and just the mic work in general. And it was funny that I was kind of like, why are we even remotely surprised that some of the best work that we're getting out of CM Punk is when he's going against John Cena mic to mic? Because here's why, folks. You got to level up, buddy.
Yeah.
Like, they always talk about like the best perform their best when they're up against the best. Mm. When you're in there with somebody and you're playing down, there's a really big trend of guys that play down to their talent, their competition.
Yeah.
And I think what we're experiencing here is CM Punk playing. I'm not saying up because I think he's one of the all-time greats on the mic, but he's up against one of the GOATs.
I love it. I'm enjoying every bit of it. Cena's been on a great run with his promos and everything else. And the villain Cena, I've just come to appreciate what he's doing, how well he's been doing it, how angry he's making people. He's running a great heel run. I'm glad to see this.
And I love the Punk back and forth with him go, it's funny that you sound like me and I sound like you.
Yeah.
Like we've kind of traded places. Kind of reminds me of the whole like, if you live long enough, you'll become the villain. Like that's what Cena has done at this point.
Yeah.
It's kind of a good thing. Now we got to have the redemption story. We'll get there, folks. When that is, we're starting, we're halfway through the year now. So we're starting to go, okay, tick, 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 tick. When does that happen? I wanted to ask you something that's not in the notes at all. I just wanted to completely blindside you with a question. I don't want to get into politics, so we're not going to do that, especially right now. I don't want to do that at all. The simple question is, this match is happening. It's official. Are you surprised that CM Punk is doing the show?
Yes. I'm extremely surprised because Punk is a very political person in the wrestling business, which you don't see a lot of people being very political persons in the wrestling business.
Oh, the indies are invaded by it.
Oh, well, yeah.
The big companies, it's not.
That's because they're professionals and they're managed by people with sense.
Listen, I'm all for it. Like, hey, do your thing. It's just it is what it is. So we'll go back to the subject at hand here. I was just super surprised he actually is doing it just based on things he's posted in the past. So I just kind of thought that was kind of
that makes it more appealing to see if he's going to go to Saudi. What's making him go to Saudi? It's the best setup you could possibly be. What is he going there for? What is he going to do? Hypocrite.
I have no idea, so we're going to find out. Also, I'll tell you who's not going to Saudi. Liv Morgan on Raw suffered just a freak accident, as it's being told. It looks like she is basically, I think everybody's saying it's dislocated her shoulder.
On a simple move. I mean, sorry, when I say simple move, it wouldn't be a
common move.
Old fat man. It's a move you see. If you move, you see. It's and I would trust Carrie Sane with people. She's not going to go out there and mess somebody up or hurt them.
Hey, look, apparently, PWI insiders have come out and said, look, there's no heat on anybody. It's just one of those fluke things that happened. It sucks. She could be 3 to 4 months maybe. So what does this do for the tag titles? I have a theory. I have a great one, I think.
A tournament at Evolution.
Nope. What if Raquel can pick a partner to fill in for her? And guess who Dom picks for her to be her partner? Who would he pick, Myron?
Roxanne Perez.
She's stealing her man. Now she's going to steal her title while she's gone.
Pyro Tendies, man.
Anyway,
that's good booking. That's good drama.
Yeah,
I like that.
I mean, it gives something to work with when she comes back, right? She's like, "You've been gone. Why you been gone? I took your partner, I took your title, and I took your man while you were gone." I mean, we probably were heading to that direction anyway, but
this was either a work or a booking acceleration.
Yeah, I just think this is a good way.
The injury is going to accelerate the booking of all that.
But all that being said, we feel horrible. Like she had already missed all that time doing the movie and all that. She's come back. Is what it is. But hopefully a speedy recovery for her.
Yes.
Also in the news, TNA announces a free tier on their streaming service that they have, TNA Plus. Look, I get it. A lot of people are, look, I'm going to go ahead and just read the statement from Carlos Silva. We're opening the door for everyone to watch TNA, whether you're a longtime fan or brand new to the product. It's never been easier to jump in and experience what makes TNA so special. It says, as part of the rollout, TNA will live stream an episode of Impact Plus for free on Friday, with the same episode scheduled to air on Access TV on June 26th. We'll see. It's a little confusing because we and you both were looking at it going like, what do we get? What do we get?
Yeah.
Here's what I took all of these notes that you could find on our Patreon page, patreon.com/tappedoutpod, and read. And here's what I summed it up to. You're going to get access to content that you can just look through and familiarize yourself and get, become a fan of TNA. That's what the important part is, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But all that being said, it's because of all the momentum they've picked up. They've rebranded, set records at Slammiversary, selling out a bunch of shows. Just the partnership, by the way.
They're double partnered with WWE. Their media company is owned by the same people who owns WWE. The talent contest or contracts and stuff going around, people going back and forth. How much has that done for TNA, Nick?
It's done a lot. I mean, let's go ahead and say that. I mean, it has literally brought them back in. We joked about it a little bit last week that, hey, they're right there in the mix, that they should be they're clearly number 3.
Yeah.
And AEW needs to watch over their shoulders, and because they might be, they're being chased for number 2, to be honest with you at this point.
Yeah.
Speaking of AEW, let's get in a little bit of this. This was a little bit of a we don't like to dig in controversies and all that kind of stuff that much. I mean, we're not in it to chase, the problems with wrestling. We try to be a little more positive, but this one's a little interesting because we had to do it with Vince. Now we're having to do it with another case. There's a legal story that's brewing in AEW. Christopher Dispenza, hope I didn't butcher that, has filed a lawsuit against AEW, the company, and Jon Moxley, stemming from an incident that occurred on the May 10th, 2023 episode of Dynamite in Detroit. First question I wanted to ask you before I continue going here. Have you seen a clip of what happened?
Yes, I have.
It's been on social media.
Yes, I have.
I was kind of like, it's wrestling? Honestly, I literally thought it was wrestling. I was just kind of like,
I thought it was a work. Like, we talked to somebody else about works and shoots and sometimes not know the difference. I would believe WWE would have had a indie guy or an agent out there to be the one that took the wrench or the screwdriver from him. That would make sense. AEW's learning things like stuff like that. I don't know their structure as far as who handles down at the bottom stuff, because this is something that should have been handled down at the bottom by the agents and people like that, to make sure they had the right person by the ring with the right tool, knowing what was going to be expected. Was this guy really shoved as a surprise?
That's what. So he is saying he was hired as a contractor that night. He was instructed to hold the screwdriver from Moxley to use in the match. According to the lawsuit, though, Moxley deviated from the plan and actually shoved him to the ground, which resulted in the injuries that he required surgery to have. So, the legal claims are civil assault and battery against Jon Moxley. He negligence against AEW for allegedly failing to hire, train, and supervise properly. That would stem from if he thought he was literally going to just take because think about it, if he thought Jon Moxley was going to pull the screwdriver out of his hand and go back to the ring, but he shoved him and caught him off guard and he got injured, what does that mean?
Nobody signed a waiver? There were no waivers to sign for stuff like this?
There was probably some waivers. The problem is if you were told one thing, that's his claim, is you signed a waiver for what you were told what was going to happen, and then something else happened.
I just think this is a cash-in attempt, because your last name is Khan and you've got tons of money. This is a cash-in attempt. I'm sorry. Yes, he may be hurt, legitimately hurt, but your eyes get a lot bigger when you go up against Tony Khan and you find a lawyer, and they're going to find a case that they can sue for against this.
Yeah. Well, here's the problem. He's also alleging Moxley's unpredictable history. Basically a disregard for safety.
He's a wrestler. That's his gimmick.
I mean, he's a wild man. So what he's actually suing for, that's kind of the key part here, is the damages for the medical bills, his permanent disability and disfigurement. Listen, I'm not questioning anything other than the fact of, like, I would love to see what these are. I'm going to go, we got to dig in and find out, like, okay, what's your permanent disability?
If he got hurt, they should pay his medical bills and stuff like that. The other stuff, we'll just have to see.
The emotional distress, anxiety, and humiliation. You were a dude on a wrestling show that got pushed down. I'm going to just kind of. And then, but now his big damages are due to the alleged recklessness and negligence on their part. Here's the problem. Here's why I don't think this case ever sees the light of day. I think this thing is settled like pretty quick. Were me. Because the second they actually go to court and then by chance they lost this case, what do we know about? Listen, and I'm not. One of the things in our country that people love is a good lawsuit.
Yep.
That would open the door.
Ringside with screwdrivers holding them.
No, I just think any little thing that's ever happened in the past, now they open Pandora's box or whatever. The problem is, it's also, does that happen if you settle it? Because
not
then everybody's
if you lock the terms. I mean, if you make it private and you don't want to open Pandora's shit box.
Listen, if you settle it, and even if you get an NDA, everybody's going to know you settled it.
Yeah.
Now, you don't know the amount, but that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It also, by the way, it starts bringing in questions about the safety. Look, you were asking about what about, any kind of waiver or what, all these things kind of come to mind. But the other question that just jumps off the page was, okay, who dropped the ball? Because here's the thing: he was a contractor, but was he? Because he clearly, look, what WWE does a lot, and AEW does most of the time, they hire wrestlers and put them in those spots. So
Yeah, I
if
didn't.
something
When I heard
happens,
contractor, I'm assuming he's there to help with the electricity and the cameras and stuff like that, or put the ring up. I mean, you'd have to believe he would have a screwdriver at ringside. So I don't know. I need to see the whole shot. I've just saw the push. I don't know the rest of it. I didn't see the rest of it. I'll admit to that. Uh, it's kind of like the things that confuses me the most about their talent contracts. They can walk out of AEW and show up the next day on WWE television. But WWE, they have those 3 months non-competes they have to go through first.
it depends on the deal that you sign.
Yeah,
So,
they're a young company.
listen, when you start, here's the problem: when you become a big company, these things start.
Yes.
And look, by the way, I don't know the whole story, so I'm not saying the guy's lawsuit is frivolous. I'm just saying this is what happens when you become a large company.
Well, we both work for large companies. We've seen this kind of thing happen.
Yeah.
That's a reason why people clean up a spill in a grocery store the minute it happens, because they don't want anybody falling in it.
Right.
I went into Aldi and they just left stuff all over the floor, wet stuff, and I'm like, these people are not from America. Okay, if they've been in America long enough, they're gonna have to have flags and everything.
Speaking of international, I know it's not your thing. I just want to brought up. By the way, we're going to preface this whole part of the conversation of AEW Grand Slam Mexico airs on Wednesday. We are recording on Tuesday. And so what we kind of want to clarify out here is say, we get it. Our show drops on Thursday, so this would already have occurred. This is why you want to be a Patreon member, because we're going to have a conversation about something that you would have heard about in time had you been a Patreon member.
Yes.
The show comes out early. I just wanted to ask you, because we typically fall a lot because of the way AEW's schedule is with the way we record.
Yeah.
So
they're going to run this instead of their regular show on Wednesday.
This is their, normally, remember Grand Slam, typically they were doing it in Arthur Ashe up in New York. They're just moving it to Mexico. By the way, it's also part of why we got all that TNA and WWE talent going to the AAA, the Triple Mania show, was because you get it. Yeah. It was competition. It is what it is.
We got a lot of good Impact talent on this show, though. They got some good talent, some really good top name talent on the show. CMLL, AEW, Impact, but man, glad to see MJF wrestling again instead of just following those other guys around.
That match will be huge. Mystico versus MJF will be huge. Yeah. Mystico is like a top tier dude, down there in Mexico. So that'll be a really good one. Obviously, Jon Moxley, the Death Riders, let's call them what they are, and the Young Bucks are going to take on Will Ospreay, Swerve Strickland, Samoa Joe, Shibata, and Powerhouse Hobbs. Kudos to them that they did not listen. I'm not. This isn't a knock. It's actually a compliment to them. It felt like for a minute they had given up on Hobbs. Yeah. And I'm like, kudos to them that they're using Samoa Joe to kind of, I feel like, bring some guys in, bring them back up. So it'll be a huge plus for him to be in a match as a partner with a Strickland and an Ospreay and a Joe and Shibata. I think so. It's a good spot for him.
I'm wrong. I was thinking of Triple Mania that had the Impact talent on it. I apologize, people.
That's why I gave you this goofy look of I don't know what you're talking about. But
well, I don't see goofy looks well.
Yeah. No. This is their dynamite. This is Dynamite. This is Dynamite. It's 2.5 hour Dynamite. It's a special that they're doing down there. Mercedes Moné is going to be there wrestling for the women's world title, CMLL. With everything going on with AAA and WWE, it looks like CMLL is going to be the new partner, down in Mexico for AEW, which, that's why you're also getting that other match on the card.
How many belts does Mercedes Moné have now?
Well, she dropped the title from Japan. She dropped it back when she went over there, so she's lost one. So honestly, here's my thing. No offense to anybody, if you're in AEW and you have, 3 titles outside of AEW, I'm like, look, you're AEW guy, you person or whatever. Look, if you're an indie person and you got 5 belts, okay, that's a whole other argument, you know.
But like that's all.
If Jon Moxley's your AEW champion and he went to Japan and he won a title over there, I'm like, I still think like my primary thing to him is he's the AEW champion.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm not a massive fan of like Mercedes Moné winning a title in Japan, a title in somewhere else. I don't like it because I just always feel like those titles are never going to be, in my opinion,
defended. They're never going to be adequately defended if she's here and the title's in Japan.
Does she care about those as much?
Yeah,
that's my other part of it. Is does she even care about those as much? So.
And also, I think it cheapens things to put 5 titles on somebody. The title used to be special. But that's me.
There also didn't used to be 8 titles in a promotion. And that's, by the way, that is a shot at both of the promotions, WWE and AEW, because they both have too many titles. Listen, this one, we were excited. This is,
super excited about that.
Yeah, so American Gladiators, we've already heard all the stuff. Hey, The Miz is going to be the host. It's going to be on Prime Video. And then the news came out that Rick Boogs, Wardlow, Mr. Spectacular, the Ultimate Athlete, Jessica Roden, J-Rod, and Kaylee Latimer, who we all know as Camille, who obviously we're massive
Friend
fans
of the show. Been massive fans ever since she started here in Atlanta. Folks, this is going to be cool as hell. This is our childhood rewritten with wrestling heroes. I'm stoked. I mean, I'm really stoked about this show. Are people really at the companies really saying, "Oh, you can't have AEW and WWE talent on the same show"? I've heard that. I don't care. Okay, that's petty if it is. Is it a good opportunity for AEW talent that aren't being used? Yes. I mean, y'all haven't had.
The people that are watching Gladiators, regular fans, the casual fan of American Gladiators, aren't even going to know they're all wrestlers.
Yes. Yes, and it'll help them get over more because people, if they see you wrestling, they'll be like, "There's the American Gladiator on a wrestling show." Because this might do some pretty big numbers. It's on Amazon.
Yeah, it's a Prime Video show. I mean, look, I'm jacked about it. I'm curious. I'm really excited about 2 things, 3 things for American Gladiators. Obviously, we were fans, as you could tell by the way we perked up when we started talking about this a little bit. 1, gotta have the old school outfits.
Yeah.
2, gotta have the cool names.
Laser.
Like all those. Yep, gotta have those cool names.
The missile launcher. Can you get the missile launcher?
And 3, I gotta have some of the old school competitions. Yeah,
yes.
I want like the old school stuff. I think when we deviated around and we started doing all these other new things, we tried to, did we overthink it, like with the Titan games and because here's what I used to think. Hear me out. When I was a teenager and you'd see these episodes of American Gladiator or whatever, when you watched them back in the day, I know I couldn't. Just hear me out. When I would see the joust, I got a chance. When they're dragging those like 80-pound chains and they're walking, I'm like, I got no shot.
Any escape and evade stuff and climbing stuff, yeah, I'm out too.
Like, doesn't it have to be when you're watching a show like American Gladiators that the casual person watching it thinks, as long as a shot as it may be, you watch it and go, man, I could probably do that. If you're just in decent shape, I'm not talking, you don't have to be.
Now, as a teenager, I could have probably done anything that didn't require balance.
You remember, like they would run and they had to throw the balls in the little bins or whatever, and they would have it's like football. I'm like, I remember thinking like, I got enough. Now, this is 30 years ago. I'd be like, well, 35 years ago, probably, to be honest with you. I would be like, I got enough speed. I got enough power. I could probably shove them. So but you had enough mass. But you had enough mass.
Yeah.
So anyway, so my point being is I think we got to embrace the old school nostalgia and also give it a feel for, like, if it's just if the Gladiators are just decimating, everybody, every event or whatever, kind of like, all right, this kind of sucks. This is boring.
Well, they're going to find some CrossFit people to come in there that are super athletic. They're not going to.
Correct.
They're going to book this You know, they're not.
Yeah, no. I was there's a documentary about the old American Gladiators. Check it out. And the guy outright says they stopped picking like average Joes to do it because they were kind of like, we got to anyway. But check it out. So we're big fans, obviously. Specifically, Camille. We're happy that she picked this up. We've always been fans of hers, and I think she fits the mold, to a T.
Exactly.
So, hey, before we get out here, I told you if we had enough time, a few questions that got sent in to us. We just real quick want to knock them out before we run out of time. Just real quick, man, you want to read them out? And
yes, we will start with our friend Micah. Didn't get a city on Micah, but Micah wants to know, will fans ever truly turn on Roman Reigns again? Or is Mystique untouchable at this point? I saw him get curb stomped, and people were really upset about it. Can we make him a heel again? You're going to have to put him with Paul Heyman again. Paul Heyman.
I think if Paul Heyman joins him, he becomes babyface. That's the problem. I think the question, I think they may have. He may have reached the I'm so cool. Like, my question back to Micah would be, Micah, send in a response to this one. What would he have to do? Like, how bad of a, what links would he have to go to get people to not like him anymore? Like, is there a babyface that is so beloved that he could attack, that he could backstab, he could do whatever, that they would turn on? That's what you got to ask the question.
Michael
Are
Cole?
there? Because here's my question: is CM Punk there already? Could he stab CM Punk in the back, and them? Maybe. Or does he do it to Jay again? Does he turn on Jay again?
Yeah. I have just not figured out the Jay hate though.
I got nothing. I couldn't tell you why people don't. Selling merch, getting fans up on their feet, getting everybody pumped, getting them energetic. His matches are fine. I mean, the matches are really good. So I don't get it. I don't understand it at all.
But you ever notice how the people in the stadium really like Jay? The people at home with keyboards, these people that have the magical weapon of the internet, the keyboard where they can fight you with it. Those people don't like him.
Right.
Now.
So I don't think so. I think Roman's probably baby until he's done.
Okay. I'm sorry, I knocked my mouse off the counter there when I was trying to be a big deal. But our friend Reggie, good to hear from you, Reggie. Is WWE about to repeat the same mistake with Braun Breaker that they did with Braun Strowman? Start out really hot and then cool down fast?
Nope.
Well, they got to stop people being named Braun for the first thing. Braun Strowman, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed. I can't keep them I know who they are, but name-wise, I can't remember the names because of it. Every one of them's a big, strong guy. So is there some kind of...
I just telling you, no. The answer to this question is absolutely not. Braun Breaker's a star. It's going to be a star for a long time. And I think there's a big difference. I think here's the theory of mine. Braun Strowman was too big for his own good. And it's not his fault. It's just it's genetics. It's really hard for him to be, a baby face for a long period of time, because then he's just beating up everybody that's smaller than him.
Yeah.
So he's better as a heel. Well, once you're a heel, then it's, you know what I mean? Like, okay, well, so
Strowman was never really believable as a heel, in my opinion. He was better as a babyface, which was weird.
With all due respect, when he was with Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt Six, and he had the man, he was believable. He was that's where he belonged, in that wheelhouse. The second, listen, I've seen him and do stuff where he is funny. I think he's a very funny guy. But when they put him out there on TV, it didn't translate. And here's the fan. It's part of it's a fan problem, but that's a whole other conversation. But no, Braun Breaker, I absolutely think is a monster, because he's fast. He's he's got the look. He's super strong. He's not like, listen, I honestly thought he was going to be horrendous on the mic. I'm not saying he's CM Punk or John Cena.
No.
But he's good enough. And I think the pairing with Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman are geared solely to get him to the next level.
Yeah. I don't get the Bronson Reed thing though. He's a muscle is all he is, and I guess you put him in there, he's a good muscle. But I don't really see the appeal of him versus somebody like Obafemi or somebody like that. But that's just me. Okay, my old friend Trevor has sent that question in. If you had to build a faction today using only underutilized talent, who's in it? Now, are we talking WWE talent here?
Pick out whoever, because it's not in the question, so we'll pick whoever.
Camille? I would start a women's faction and have her be the muscle for somebody with a skill set like Mercedes Moné, and I would have gone through with it.
Here's the thing. Who even says it has to be all men or all women? It can be both.
Well, there's a faction in called the Culling in NXT where Izzy Danes is, and I think it's actually elevated her character to be in a faction like that. There's the No Quarter Catch crew who has the woman in it, and that's elevated her too. Who's underutilized, do you think?
That's my great debate with this question. What does that even mean?
Yeah.
I always push back to people when they're like, "Oh, they deserve better." Why? I mean, I'm not. We all do. We all deserve better.
Yes.
Right. So when it's talk about the biggest thing we always hit, and I don't know that I'm going to answer this question or not, Trevor. I'm going to try. But one of the things I always push back to people is when we have these conversations, and I'm always like, if you listen to the same person, never say anything. Just listen to them over the stretch of 6 months. They'll have 40 people that should be the world champion in conversation. Oh, that guy should be a world champion. That guy okay, so here we go. We're going to have this guy. We got 40 champions. There's even with 2 world titles, that's 20 apiece. And yet we complain when Jey Uso loses the belt in 51 days because it was such a short reign. If you're putting the belt on all 20 of those guys per belt, their title reigns are going to be short. Oh, we hate it when we hot potato the title. We won't have people to have long title reigns. Well, which is it? Because if one guy's going to hold the belt for 300 days, there's going to be everybody else on the roster's underutilized.
I think babyfaces should have shorter title reigns because it's more interesting what's on a heel and somebody's chasing them.
Yeah.
Okay. I just you can't judge everybody. That's a too short a title reign, or that's a too long a title reign. Everybody's a damn genius when they get on the internet, and no.
Listen, dude, I think AJ Styles underutilized, but that's just me being, so why not? He's in a faction.
I am so excited about that AJ Styles and Dominic match.
It'll be fun.
Totally popped for that. They can't be a loser for me in that match. As far as the two guys, these are two guys, a young talent with someone who is one of the greatest talents of all time for a championship belt. Man.
It'll be good.
That's good.
So why not Finn Balor and AJ in a faction? Give them a tag team. Pick one. Anyone. Doesn't really matter.
Give them black T-shirts.
And Bullet Club.
Skull. Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is.
Just buy New Japan WWE and just go back to the gimmick.
Yeah, I don't know. This would take more time to probably pick an answer on underutilized, but yes, I get it.
I need a definition. Can I get a definition, like a spelling bee? Can I get a definition of underutilized?
Maybe if we think of it, we'll put it on social media or something. Yeah. So yeah.
So Ken, good old Ken wants to know what gimmick match WWE hasn't done in a while. What's a gimmick match WWE hasn't done in a while that needs a comeback?
So if you've watched the Georgia Wrestling Spotlight on Patreon, patreon.com/tappedOutPod, I referenced this question.
Yes.
And I was hoping that we would get to it, which we clearly did, and we have literally a couple minutes to get it answered. We were discussing a bull rope match between 2 young kids. Again, we go back to us calling them kids. But 2 young men are going to have a bull rope match, and I said, this is the match that answers that question for me.
Yeah.
It creates a couple issues, and I get it. one, it's probably a PLE match. If it's listen, if it's AEW, it's Dynamite. It doesn't matter, because somebody's gonna bleed in a bull rope match. So it's got to be a PLE more than likely for WWE, unless it's on Raw and then Netflix, and they are okay with it. Maybe, who knows? But that's my answer. I like a good bull rope match. Now, shockingly, because I grew up in Florida watching Dusty Rhodes and Blackjack Mulligan and, Barry Windham doing bull rope matches and stuff. So it's like, hence why I love the gimmick. So that would be my answer.
I like anything on a pole. I like tables, ladders, and chairs. You always get a version of that somewhere. I think bull rope's probably the most established thing. I don't know if bull rope is something we could do today, though.
Could we do the triple tower of terror that they did? Like when Ready to
Rumble? The Skywalkers?
No. That was a scaffold. I'm talking about where it was like a big cage and a smaller cage, and then the smaller cage on the top. They used it in the Ready to Rumble movie, and they actually did I'm kidding, guys, before everybody starts tapthappod@gmail.com. No, I'm kidding. But I do. I think the gimmick match that I would go is bull rope match, because you get the one where he just can't get away, because we all and it could. I think the key to me answering it this way is it's a gimmick match WWE hasn't done, and I mean in a while. I haven't seen a bull rope match in forever. You can't say cages. You can't even say War Games anymore. They've used those. I mean, so Hell in the Cell, etc. They've used them all.
Don't make a pay-per-view around it. Okay, just make it a special match on something. Put it with a babyface and a chicken shit heel that always runs. Give him a reason to want to put a rope on him.
It's a PLE that you're running in Texas somewhere. It is just fitting that they go we're going to settle this in Texas like the old days. We're going to do the bull rope match, and you have the match.
Yeah, save it for the PLEs. I like a good Raw or a good SmackDown, but there's something special when you put it. To me, you put it on the PLE. You make it a big deal. It's a bigger deal, so you want to tune into the PLE to get stuff like that. Yeah. That's just me.
Yeah, speaking of big deals, man, we think that our patreon.com/tapped-out-pod is a huge deal, because, look, you get the Georgia Wrestling Spotlight for free. You get the show notes starting at the $1 level. You're going to get the $5 level. You're going to get the weekly shows early. You're going to get bonus content even beyond that. Of course, at the $10 level, you get the digital copy of the exclusive Tapped Out collectibles that comes out every month. $25 level or higher, you get the actual physical 8.5 by 11 signed. And like I said, this month's was QT Marshall and Bryce Cannon, who's been filling in and doing the Tapped In. We got a couple more weeks with Bryce on the show. And so we're completely recording everything out of order. I've actually gotten a message from Bryce that what time he's going to be ready to go after this one. So it's one of my marathon days where I do 3 podcasts back to back to back. So I'm looking forward to that.
You probably get a lot of sleep at night and take your vitamins. I got to take my vitamins. I ain't got no strength for this.
Dude, it's a marathon session between driving and doing podcasts and recording. That's part of the gig. That is part of the gig, folks. But, well, man, that's a lot of stuff to get through this week, man. Anything else before we get out of here, buddy?
Not at all.
What's the old saying, brother? If I've got nothing and you've got nothing, what time is it?
Time to tap out.